Do you think this is a game to me? Eleanor is with me right now. Everyone say, hi, Eleanor. Hi, Eleanor. So lately, everyone's been talking about this thing called heated rivalry. Okay, I've heard of it. You've heard of it. So, what is heated rivalry about? Heated rivalry is the gay hockey show. And as a Canadian and a Fujoshi, you can guess how much this means to me. In case you didn't know, the story is about Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozalov, as Hudson Williams would say. Both of them are the best in their rookie season, being the second and first drafts picks, respectively. They play for fictional teams, the Montreal Metros and the Boston Raiders. Their personalities and play styles clash, and their heated rivalry on the ice is further complicated when the two of them begin hooking up. They have to keep this illicit affair a secret because of their public personas as hockey players and rivals. So, that's what it is. A gay hockey rivalry show. Except it's not? What if I told you that heated rivalry is completely missing 2 out of 3 of these elements? First of all, there is no hockey. Both protagonists' identities hinge on them being hockey players and the best at what they do. Despite this, we know absolutely nothing about them as players. I don't even know what position they play. There is a remark Ilya makes in the first episode about Shane being the goalie, and I think it was supposed to be sarcastic, but I don't know. Is he? Later down the line, like episode 4 or 5, they make remarks about them both playing center. And so, was he the goalie at one time? Did he always play center? I don't know. They don't tell me. And you might be like, why is this important? Why do I need to see them play hockey? Well, okay, first of all, it's a show about hockey. There should be hockey in it, and sports should be used as an element in the plot, not just as a set dressing like you would for an AU fanfiction. Cough, cough. Because we never see them play hockey, we never see how their dynamic on the ice contrasts the dynamic they have in private. What if the audience doesn't know anything about hockey? That doesn't matter. I can tell you, as a Canadian who knows very little about hockey, honestly, but has been to plenty of hockey games, that hockey is a very fast-paced, highly tactile, and violent sport. On skates, hockey players go so much faster than anyone could on foot, and the ice is a hard surface, so any impact is gonna hurt like crazy. The stadium rink is surrounded by plexiglass to protect the audience from hockey pucks going as much as 160 kilometers an hour. It's not a hockey game unless someone gets in a fist fight. And you still don't know what's going on? That's why we have sports commentators. The show had this built-in device in real life to help people understand hockey, and it didn't utilize it. And if you still don't understand why including hockey in the show is important, it's the fact that we never got the heated rivalry aspect of the rivalry, at least from a sports perspective. We never saw them, even once, throw a punch on each other on the ice, knock each other to the ground. We never see Ilya Shane slam against the boards until episode 4, where it's only intercut with sex scenes, so they're already hooking up at this point, so establishing their rivalry has lower stakes. And we never even saw any of the hockey players, let alone Shane or Ilya, with a black eye, and that is accredited to the other player. They missed so much huge potential in storytelling and characterization when we don't know what kind of hockey players they are. You might be like, there's hockey in the show. There's hockey in the show. Yeah, there's scenes of them skating and doing slap shots. But we do not follow any hockey game in an episode, in the story. There is no kind of instance of play-by-play, so we don't understand the stakes of this rivalry from a sports perspective. And it's completely wasted. I don't understand. They never play hockey in this show. We know nothing about them as hockey players. Number 2, there is no rivalry. I just told you that there's no rivalry from a hockey perspective. There's not even a rivalry on a personal perspective. The point of the story is supposed to be how they're rivals. It's called heated rivalry. We have to believe that they're trying to fight their attraction for one another because of this. They have never even been mean to each other. And because we never see them play hockey, we have no idea how this rivalry dynamic on the ice plays out. Okay, if you're like, no, they're rivals, they're mean to each other, you're lying to yourself. You're in delusion land. I'm gonna break down for you every single interaction they have in the first episode before they start hooking up. When they hook up, we're supposed to believe like, oh, this is a bad idea. This is so crazy. Like, they're rivals. They can't be doing this. They don't even like each other. Their interactions in the first episode include Shane introduces himself to Ilya and says he can't smoke out here, to which Ilya says, okay. Not even rudely. He just says, okay. And his English probably isn't that good at this point, so there's a chance that he didn't entirely understand what Shane was talking about, which is why he continues to smoke, but we don't know. And then Shane proceeds to compliment Ilya and say that he's a really good player, and Shane offers a hand for Ilya to shake, which Ilya accepts. He then makes, I think, some kind of comment about like, oh, you won't like me so much when I beat you later, ha ha ha. But it's playful? It's not mean. It's not rude. It's just something you would say to someone as an athlete. In their next interaction, they work out beside each other at the gym, and there is a silent exchange where they're getting a little competitive, like they're both on the exercise bikes and they're both clearly trying to go faster than the other person. And then afterwards, they sit down. Ilya offers Shane his water bottle, which Shane accepts, and Ilya strikes up a very mundane conversation about the teams they got signed to. He asks Shane if he likes Montreal, and Shane is like, sure. Ilya asks Shane if Boston is nice. Shane says, I think so.
Montreal is nice, yes?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Boston is nice too?
Think so? People like it there.
Oh my god, the tension is sizzling. You can just feel their animosity towards each other. Next, they film a promo together in which they keep having to retake it because they keep cracking up and they're unable to take it seriously. This is actually like a really cute scene, but it does not show me that they are rivals. Afterwards, Ilya tells Shane that it was his idea that they should film it together. Oh my god, these guys, they hate each other, and Ilya is such an asshole. This is all that happens. All that happens on a personal level before they hook up for the first time. I see absolutely no stakes established. Another thing that really bothers me is Shane constantly remarks that Ilya is an asshole. He's like, oh, you're such an asshole. You're such an asshole. Fuck you.
Hold on there. Sit on couch. No! Hollander, sit at table then. Fine! Good. Give me a flip phone. You're such an asshole! Give me a flip phone. This is stupid. Fuck you! Maybe so.
We have never seen him do anything even remotely assholish. He's dry, teasing, but in a very gentle, kind, fun way. Like, he's generally like a very like sweet and respectful person who never pushes Shane's boundaries and is a gentle and understanding lover. Yes, he's a little sarcastic and playful and teasing. He's never actually even a little bit rude. So calling him an asshole constantly just seems inappropriate, and it does give the effect of Shane being kind of an asshole, since he's always swearing at Ilya for no reason. Ilya never calls Shane names. Unlike Shane, he never swears at him. He never. So why is Shane always doing this? It makes him seem like a jerk. There's also another moment that really pisses me off, where another player to Shane about Ilya says, "He's a total asshole, right?" And Shane replies, "Yeah."
He's an asshole, right?
I mean, yeah, basically.
Me, when I don't know how to write characters, so I just have other characters state how they're meant to be interpreted. So, what do we have? We have two guys who genuinely get along and have a sort of playful, teasing relationship, insisting that they can't be together because they hate each other when they don't. They even have this insistence that they're not friends, and it's like, you clearly enjoy spending time together. You're friends. Why are you getting so defensive about this? It's their public image as rivals. Even so, first of all, sports are not real life. There's even a moment in the second episode where another player says to Shane, "Where's your boy Rozanoff?" And Shane gets really defensive about it. And this guy seems kind of weirded out by this. He's like, there's no need to get so defensive. It's just, you guys are always kind of together.
Okay, then where's your boy Rozanoff?
My what?
No, I mean, not your boy. Just like, it's always Hollander and Rozanoff, right? I just thought.
I don't know where he is. We're not like friends or anything.
No worries, man.
And so he, as another player in the league, has a genuine expectation that Shane and Ilya are friends. So clearly he understands that rivalry in sports is not rivalry in real life. It does not mean that you cannot respect each other as people and as fellow hockey players. So Shane's insistence that nobody can know that him and Ilya are even friends doesn't even make sense from the in-show perspective, where another character believes that they are friends and has no problem with it. Once again, this show never sells me their dynamic as rivals. I have never seen them be rivals. I've never seen them throw hands on the ice. I have never seen them even be kind of mean to each other. We see them be nice, sweet, playful, tender, and it's cute. I don't even hate the scenes of them together. I think they're cute. But then they insist that they hate each other, and I'm just left thinking, like, what the fuck are you talking about? I've never seen you hate each other. And this is where the presence of hockey in the show could have greatly benefited the characterization. Shane as the fair, level-headed player who never loses his temper or fights. Ilya as the aggressive, underhanded player that gets under people's skin. Not only would this have shown us that Ilya is an asshole, rather than this, us just being told that he is over and over again without him ever doing anything even remotely assholish, we could also shown that Ilya is the only one who can get under Shane's skin and provoke him to fight. This could cause a greater resentment on Shane's part since he values his image so much as a role model. He hates that Ilya can make him act in a manner that he considers unsportsmanlike. And this could even go on to mirror their romantic interactions, where Ilya, once again, is the only one who can get under Shane's skin. And it's just like, I cannot make you understand. If you've never seen hockey, I can not make you understand how much they missed out on not including hockey in this show. There's literally a box we put people in. There's a timeout box because of how aggressive hockey players are. It's called the penalty box. I never saw Ilya in the penalty box. Some players spend the whole game in there because they're such assholes and they can't stop fighting people. Oh, fuck, whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't even care. Okay. So we've established there is no hockey, there is no rivalry. So what is the conflict of the story? You know, conflict, the basis that all stories are built around, the events and consequences that drive the plot forward. Heated rivalry doesn't really have a lot of these. I mean, it tries to. It really tries to, but it is so afraid of conflict that it kind of like dips its toes in and goes, oh, no, it's scary. So every issue that is raised is solved immediately after. Don't believe me? Okay. Episode 2. The conflict is the relationship between Ilya and Shane following Ilya's loss at the Sochi Olympics. Ilya brushes Shane off coldly when Shane shows concern and stops answering his texts completely until they see each other again 6 months later when they host an awards show together. Afterwards, they hook up, but their encounter isn't as intimate as their previous one. I believe they only slept together like one time, like had like penetrative sex one time before this. So this is only like their second time. And afterwards, there's an awkward tension. Shane leaves, and as he's in the elevator, he begins to write a text message to Ilya saying, "We didn't even kiss," before deleting it and being like, "Oh, I'm so stupid," right? Clearly admonishing himself. And you would think like, okay, here we go. This is the beginning of a rift between them. That Shane is realizing that he wants more than sex from this relationship. He wants emotional intimacy, maybe even something more. But Ilya has clearly drawn that boundary between them where this is no longer going to be an intimate relationship. This is only a physical one. Episode 3 opens with a montage of them making out and having sex. Apparently nothing has changed in their dynamic. Okay. Another example in the same episode of them dipping their toes into conflict and getting too scared to actually commit to anything happening that might change the dynamics of the story. Episode 2 contains a scene where Ilya, while in Russia, encounters his ex-lover, Sasha, a man. Sasha tries to entice Ilya with drugs and a hookup. Ooh, will this entanglement complicate his relationship with Shane? Ilya rejects both of these proposals, and we never see Sasha again. What was the point of this? What was the point of this? When you make a story, things that happen have to have a purpose, okay? Things can't just happen to happen. And this is a TV show, so more than anything, they have to understand that they must have paid like $30,000 for that bathroom set alone. What was the point of it? Episode 4 was the closest I think we got to something that was an interesting theme and conflict. Like, this episode very consistently deals with themes of heteronormativity, which I think is important for this story. From the very beginning of the episode, it starts with Shane's best friend, I would think, since I don't see him with any other friends. I don't know if he has any other friends. I don't know anything about these characters, but I'll tell you about that later. His best friend, I'm assuming, and teammate, who's famous for being a heterosexual man with 100 children, starts questioning Shane about if he's dating, when he's gonna get a girlfriend, start settling down and having kids. He also, in a following scene, receives some not so subtle nudging from his parents about meeting a Swedish princess. Later in the episode, Shane meets famous actress Rose Landry, who he is apparently a fan of, and they start hitting it off. And can I just say, this character comes out of nowhere and disappears just as fast, and I don't think that this story understands the art of setup, and I feel like even if it was an offhanded remark, that we could have had opportunities to, first of all, establish that apparently Shane has an interest in movies. In this episode, that he says that he watches a lot of movies because he flies a lot and he seems to really enjoy movies. And we could have established this about his character in an earlier episode by having him just say something like, oh yeah, the new movie, it's got Rose Landry in it. I really like her. And this could have even led up to like the comp het thing where one of his teammates, who are the only people he seems to kind of interact with, could have been like, oh yeah, you have such a crush on her, right, Shane? And he could be like, haha, yeah, totally. I have a crush on her, yeah. The two of them hit it off and they start dating in Shane's attempt at comp het. And I think this is a really good idea. I thought this was such a good idea. I was really excited for this. So he's dating Rose, he's cut things off with Ilya, not in any official capacity, because it's not like they're dating or anything, but, you know, he stops texting him when he's in, I think Ilya's in Montreal. When Ilya's in Montreal, they don't hook up, and whenever they're in each other's cities, they always hook up, but they don't hook up this time. And instead, Ilya sees Shane at a club where he's dancing with Rose Landry, and then Shane sees Ilya dancing with another woman in a scene that famously made me laugh so hard I almost threw up. And once again, I was very excited for this. This has a very interesting conflict it was trying to set up. I was so excited. I was watching this episode on call with my friends. They were not watching it with me. I was just watching it and I was talking about it. I was saying like, oh my God, this is gonna be like the classic scene where they go and they hook up in the bathroom, right? Like Shane and Ilya are gonna go hook up in the bathroom, and then Shane's gonna have to go home to Rose, and it's gonna be this whole thing. And I was really excited for the idea of this conflict and for this relationship to start getting at least a little bit messy, because it hasn't been that messy, and I wanted some stakes. Is Shane gonna try and have his cake and eat it too by living a heterosexual lifestyle in public while cheating on Rose with Ilya? This is totally up the stakes of his secret. Rose breaks up with Shane 4 minutes into the next episode. Not only does she break up with him 4 minutes into the next episode, is that this story has huge jumps in time. It has huge jumps in time, which I think lends a lot to its kind of sloppy characterization and storytelling, because we just have to be like, okay, we're doing this, now we're doing this, now we're doing this, and none of it really matters that much. What I'm guessing from the timeline is that Shane and Rose were maybe only dating for a few weeks. So, yeah, that was such a hardcore conflict. And not only that, this pissed me off so much. The reason Rose breaks up with Shane is because she thinks he is gay, which I think is an insane leap in logic, no matter how you look at it. She's assuming this because he's clearly not attracted to her. You know, like, they can't get intimate, it's not working, he doesn't seem that interested in her. And I think that's totally fair. If you want to break up with someone because you're like, look, I don't think you're actually attracted to me, that's completely fair. I don't think it's unrealistic for Rose to break up with him for that reason. I think it's unrealistic that she should assume that he's gay. Why are you assuming this? Maybe he's just not into you. You know, maybe he's asexual. Maybe he's only into fat bitches. You don't know. You don't know. So why are you making this assumption that Shane is gay? Well, I'll tell you why. Because this story doesn't have any characters in it. Okay, the only characters Shane interacts with besides Ilya are his parents, who he is closeted to, and his teammates, who he is closeted to. He has no friends. So we have to have this external character come in and explain to Shane that he is gay, rather than Shane being able to realize it on his own terms. Why couldn't Rose have just broken up with Shane because she's like, look, I don't think you're into me. I don't think I'm what you're looking for. And maybe she could think in the back of her head, like, okay, maybe he's gay. But I think it's crazy rude to assume that and talk about it in a public venue, by the way. She was talking about this in public. They broke up in public, and she was saying that he was gay in public, which is crazy, right? You think that on its own could have been a whole other conflict where someone overheard them and now, oh my God, Shane Hollander is gay, and that could have been a big news story, or Rose could have been not as trustworthy as we thought and she could have let it slip, but no, whatever, right? There's no conflict in this story. What are you talking about? She could have been like in the back of her head, okay, yeah, maybe Shane is gay, but it's insane to just assume that and say that to someone's face. And then Shane could have possibly introspected on his own why this relationship with Rose, who is a girl he clearly likes and gets along with and is beautiful, why it didn't work out. And maybe he could have, you know, with his own autonomy, realized like, okay, maybe I'm not into women, actually. Maybe I am exclusively gay, and I didn't realize that about myself until now. But no. Because nobody in this show is allowed to have a character, okay? Things just happen to them, and then they're resolved instantly, and then we move on to the next thing. It's whatever. I'm gonna like mess up my mascara because I keep tension and rubbing my forehead like this. Whatever. I don't care. Okay, so Shane doesn't have a girlfriend anymore. That conflict is over within half an episode, but whatever. Episode 5 has Shane finally reconciling with the fact that not only is he exclusively gay, but that he has romantic feelings for Ilya. He tries to talk to him about this in a scene that I genuinely think is pretty good. And Ilya says that they can't be together because if he was ever publicly out, he could never go back to Russia. And he has this big emotional thing about it. He's like, I could never go back to Russia. I could never go home, Shane. This is why we cannot be together.
I wouldn't be able to go home again. Ever. Do you get that?
Because your family?
Because Russia! I would not be able to go back to Russia.
He will never see his family again, and his father is sick with dementia. Oh my God. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense as to why Ilya could never be in a publicly out relationship, even though he is a queer man. Oh, this is a tragic complication that now that they finally realize their feelings for each other, at least Shane has, and he's trying to act on them, he's immediately had this roadblock put in his way that cannot be reconciled. Oh, this is so tragic. And basically the next scene, Ilya's father dies. He goes home to Russia for a funeral. He gets into a fight with his brother, and he decides he will never go back to Russia again. How convenient. This makes me crazy because we have established that Ilya is the breadwinner for his family, that he makes all the money and he sends it back to Russia, and specifically he pays his brother to take care of his father who is sick. And at the funeral, Ilya's brother just randomly attacks him. And I don't know why this happened. I could maybe interpolate based off of my ability to read context that possibly the reason he did this is because he is afraid that he is no longer going to get money from Ilya since their father is now dead. But my question is, why would you then attack him? Before, we've had scenes with Ilya's brother speaking very rudely and coldly to him, because we gotta show that he's a jerk, and we can't have any characterization past that. He treats Ilya horribly and is then always telling him to give him money. But the thing is, if his brother is in Russia and Ilya isn't, he has no choice but to give him money because he's the only one that can take care of their father. So his brother can treat him kind of however he wants. Now that their father is dead, Ilya has no reason to give him money. So why does he immediately become violent with him? Why does he not instead try to appease him in some way? I think it would have been a lot more interesting if now suddenly the relationship was completely flipped on its head, where before his brother Alexei was just completely flippant and spoke to him however he wanted, calling him horrible names, demanding all these things from him, and now he's suddenly like, oh, I'm so sorry, I love you so much, trying to appease him. And I think that it could have at least created a little bit more internal conflict with Ilya, but I also think he's intelligent enough to understand that, his brother does not actually care about him, and this behavior could actually end up disgusting him because he understands that he's not worth anything more to him than money, and he will do anything he can to get money from him. And now that the badgering and belligerent behavior won't work, he now has to try and appease him. Oh, there's a kitty. Oh, there's a kitty. I'm readjusting my camera so you can see Eleanor. Hi, baby. Can you hear her purr? I don't know if you can hear her purr, but she's so loud. The last conflict we have is the Shane being closeted conflict. Shane has been closeted from his parents for the entirety of the story, despite his very close relationship with them. He seems terrified above all else what his parents would think about him if they found out. And then in episode 6, Shane's dad catches Ilya and Shane making out and flees the scene. Shane and Ilya go to confront him. This is going to be a very difficult moment where Shane's parents struggle to accept him and their relationship is changed irreparably. No, Shane's parents accept him. In fact, they have known for a while that he might be gay because they both know him pretty well. Okay, if this was the case, why did you never let him know that you would accept him if he was gay? If you had an idea for a while that he might be gay, you don't have to say, Shane, are you gay? You could just say to your child, I would always accept you no matter what. You don't have to hide who you are from me. I have never formally come out to my mother in any way, but I know that she would accept me. And she's made me aware of this through many, many ways in my life, by being accepting of other queer people, being understanding of alternative relationships, of handing me the girl piece for a wife in the game of life because she just automatically assumes that I would marry a woman. There are plenty of ways you can make your child understand that you would accept them if they were gay, even without confronting them and asking them, are you gay? Shane, when he's not playing hockey, he's with his parents. Even though he's probably like 25 or 26 by the end of this season, he still spends most of his time with his parents. It seems that when he's not in his home in Montreal, he lives with them at their house in Ottawa. He built his cottage 5 minutes down the road from his parents. His parents still seem to manage the entirety of his career. They seem to have a very enmeshed relationship. I don't understand how they couldn't have made him understand that they would have been accepting of him. Whatever. 5 minutes ago, Shane was literally on the gown, fucking screaming and crying, throwing up because he was so scared of his parents finding out he was gay. Does that seem like a trusting and good familial relationship to you?
Fuck, this is a fucking nightmare.
Oh, fuck, this is a fucking nightmare. What the fuck am I supposed to do? What if... Fuck my mom. Hey. This is my fucking nightmare. This is my actual fucking nightmare, Ilya.
Fuck, I'm scared. I feel like I'm gonna die.
Why was he so afraid if they are accepting? What did he think was gonna happen? Why was he so afraid? I don't know. There's no conflict, ergo no plot. And you might be like, oh, well, it's a character-driven story. Okay. Well, that's stupid. You still need a plot, but fine. Let's entertain the concept for a moment that this is a character-driven story. Who are the characters? Okay, well, there's basically only 2 characters in the story. I mean, maybe 4 if you consider the one-off episode that's dedicated to another gay couple, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's a whole other can of worms, okay? That's a whole new set of critique towards that one episode in particular. But who are the characters? There's really only 2. Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov. You'd think in a character-driven story you'd have more than 2 characters, but sure. Okay, let's entertain the idea that this is a character-driven story and we have 2 characters in this character-driven story. Who are they? Who is Shane Hollander? He's upstanding, hardworking, goal-oriented, but reserved. He doesn't drink, sleep around, or socialize. He mostly keeps to himself. Shane is Asian Canadian, as we're told, even though we're not specified what ethnicity he is until the last episode through a vaguely racist remark.
I know your mother is Japanese or something. Probably where you get your looks.
He's Asian Canadian, and he struggles with a racialized identity and shoulders the expectations of being a role model to kids like him who don't often see themselves represented in professional sports. Okay, yeah. He has a close relationship with his parents, who seem to schedule and control almost every aspect of his life, deciding which appointments and brand deals he takes, adding to this pressure to focus on success. He isn't very aware of his own feelings and seems to struggle with personal intimacy and being open because of his closeted nature. And I don't just mean this like on a sexual level, I mean this like on an emotional level with friends and such as well, where he seems to keep everybody a bit at a distance. Who is Ilya Rozanov? He's a snarky, competitive, cocky hockey player who likes to indulge in vices like partying, drinking, smoking, and sex, which is quite in contrast to Shane's character. He is a Russian player playing for an American team. He's under pressure to succeed by his strict military father who wants him to represent Russia. He is the primary breadwinner, sending all his money back home to pay his brother to take care of his father, who has dementia. He is more open and aware of his bisexuality than Shane is of his gayness, as he has experience with men, but otherwise is still closeted publicly. Okay, so these are our characters. Not bad base concepts. There are some interesting ideas here. I also think there is an interesting potential element of class conflict where Shane grew up very, very rich, whereas Ilya is, like I said, made to be the primary breadwinner for his family. So there's some very obvious class dynamics going on here where even if Shane weren't to be a hockey player, he would still be rich and successful, whereas Ilya and his family would likely be struggling. And maybe that's where another element of resentment in their relationship can come from. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. That's just an idea in my head. Little is done with these base characterizations at all. Shane's racialized identity is paid lip service to at best, but never fully explored.
Just to be clear, we are thrilled that Shane is Asian or Asian Canadian. Very thrilled.
He actually denies experiencing racism at one point, saying that it was because of his Western last name, which is a crazy way to say that your father is a rich white man. But okay, your Western last name, you have a white father, you're mixed, okay? Whatever. Still insane to imply that he would not experience racism. And actually, instead, the only person on his hockey team was the other Asian kid. That was the only person who hated him because he was jealous of the fact that Shane did not experience racism because of his Western last name. Crazy. Shane seems to live under the extreme pressure of his parents' expectations, but this is never once challenged by himself or the narrative. He chafes against them only once, complaining that he only has 2 weeks of free time a year and he doesn't want to spend them on a pure PR venture that they want him to participate in. He is close with only one member of his hockey team, a man named Hayden, who is clearly living the idealized heterosexual male lifestyle that Shane is unable to attain. However, we do not know how any of his other teammates feel about him despite him being the captain. Do they respect him? Do they perceive him as friendly, distant, loyal, cold? I have no idea. I have no idea how any of these characters feel about Shane, and he receives little development in the story outside of moving forward in his openness with his relationship with Ilya. I turned the heat off so it wouldn't make noise and have my blinds wide open so I could let light in, and now I'm cold. Oh, I forgot I was gonna wear a Canadian tuxedo for this video. Whatever. I was gonna say next time, but I hope I never talk about this show again. And then we have Ilya. Like I said, Ilya is never actually depicted as being an asshole. A little cocky, sarcastic, playful, yes, but never mean, never malicious. We generally see him very kind and polite and personable. There's literally a scene of him playing with a bunch of children. But apparently he has this reputation amongst other hockey players for being an asshole. Why? Do hockey players just hate Russian people? I would say that Ilya's relationship with his family is half-baked and underdeveloped. It feels contrived without any sense of nuance. He has a scummy douchebag brother. We know this brother is not nice because he calls Ilya gay slurs while asking him to give him money and snorting coke. Very subtle. His father is no less of a caricature, constantly criticizing him at any turn and prattling on and on about Russian superiority. Why does his brother hate him and treat him like shit despite the fact that he's funding his lifestyle? I don't know. There's a scene where he says, "My brother hates me, and I know why. He's always hated me, and I know why." I don't know why. I don't know why. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Why? Why is your brother always hitting you? You need to tell me these things. You need to show them to me. You can't just say shit. Why is Ilya so eager to impress his father despite the way he treats him? I also don't know. The story wants me to make assumptions based on tropes and stereotypes, but never puts the effort into making me believe the feelings of these characters. And this is just going to be me going off on a tangent, but I have a suggestion for how we could have made Ilya a better character. In the final episode, it is revealed that Ilya's mother died by suicide when he was 12 years old. And he echoes sentiments of, she was a really great, funny person, but my dad was so hard on her. And I think that we could have done something really significant with Ilya's character if we had also shown that he struggled with mental health. And then it could have been a mirror to his mother's relationship with his father, where no matter how hard he tries, he can never be good enough for him, which is obviously a similar experience that his mother had. And I think that in the final episode where Shane suggests that they create a charity dedicated to mental health and suicide prevention, that this would have hit a lot harder if we knew that Ilya struggled with things like depression. But we're never shown that. And once again, this is a tangent, but there's this whole thing where there's another character in the story that I haven't mentioned before because she's hardly relevant, even though she could have been very relevant, but Ilya's best friend Svetlana, who he has both a very emotional, like he has a very emotionally connected relationship with her. He seems to tell her almost everything, and they know each other very, very well. I mean, she knows about his bisexuality. Clearly, she knows about his relationship with Sasha, and they also have a physically intimate relationship. And it seems that Svetlana is in love with Ilya, but Ilya, though he loves her, is not in love with her. He wants to be with Shane instead. And as a character, I don't understand why Ilya is in love with Shane, but not Svetlana. And I feel like we could have been given a really good reason for why he chose Shane over Svetlana. Because Ilya and Svetlana are shown to be very similar. You know, in all the montages where he's back in Russia, they're partying it up in the club. You know, she clearly indulges in a little drink and a little cocaine, and they indulge in these physical pleasures with each other as well. Meanwhile, Shane is not like that at all. He doesn't even drink. So maybe we could have had Ilya realize that these are sort of self-destructive tendencies and coping mechanisms, and he likes Shane because he is more normal and more grounded. Maybe even though he loves Svetlana, he recognizes that they can't be together because they are too similar and would lead each other down a self-destructive cycle of indulgence. Also, if we could have shown that Ilya does struggle with mental health, we could have shown that Shane is understanding and accepting of it, that he doesn't get mad at him for not being able to regulate his emotions or not always being positive all the time, that Shane could have said, no, that's okay, that doesn't bother me, and Shane could have provided Ilya with a sense of acceptance and stability that he does not otherwise get in his life. And you might be like, no, that's what happened. That is what happened. That you're literally describing the story. No, I'm not. I'm not. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. I'm making this up in my head. I'm interpolating this based off of my own media literacy and expectations and the potential I see in this story. This did not happen. If you think any of this actually happened, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. You're delusional. You're delusional. I'm sorry, you're delusional. So, what is heated rivalry? There's no hockey, there's no rivalry, there's no story, there's no character. What is there? What could they have possibly done to fill 6 40-minute episodes? It's the last element you're forgetting. The gay part. There's no hockey, no rivalry, none of that, but boy oh baby is there gay sex. And it's really good gay sex. It's really good gay sex. The lighting, the direction, the music. Oh my god, everything's so good. I've listened to the soundtrack for this show so many times. And like the scenes, they're very intimate and sweet and sexy. And the Tumblr post I saw that convinced me to watch this show is a post saying, I wish I could find it. I'll see if I can find it. But it said, "This is the horniest show I've ever seen. It's the only show I've ever seen where they fade to black during a sex scene and they fade back in and they're still going at it." And it's true. It's true. Not only do they fade to black during the sex scene and fade back into them fucking still, they do it multiple times within the same scene. It's crazy. It's crazy. They just go on and on and on and on. It takes up so much of the runtime. And here's the thing. Despite the lack of rivalry, despite the lack of kind of real characters, the relationship between Shane and Ilya is cute. I do like it. I think a lot of their one-on-one interactions are very intimate and sweet and cute. It is, however, not what the show advertised to me. They don't even have hate sex. They have tender, emotional, vanilla sex. Ilya didn't even sniff his panties in that one scene.
Oh my god, Hollander.
Whatever, I'm getting off track. The gay sex goes crazy. And if you just want to see a show where two beautiful, beautiful men kiss each other with tongue and suck each other off and fuck each other in the ass, then this is the show for you. You should definitely check it out. In conclusion, the show has superficial fan fiction quality of writing made up almost entirely of fan service scenes mixed with shallow characterization and no plot. It's basically 50 Shades of Grey for Fujoshis. If this show was an AO3 tag, it would be porn with some plot. Do I wish this show was better? Yeah, of course. Do I hate it? Sort of, but not really. Bad yaoi is an addiction to me, okay? I consume it like junk food. And this is the first time Bad Yaoi has been on HBO. This is as culturally significant to me as Man Walking on the Moon. We have just entered a brave new world of men fucking each other and whimpering while their asses jiggle in mainstream media. For all my complaints, I fucking ate this show up. I almost threw up laughing while doing so, but I was there every Thursday night, 9 p.m. PST for the episode drop, rubbing my hands together deviously. I asked my mother for her Crave TV login, and I told her why. I told her it was to watch the gay hockey show. I think in this age of pervert media gaining more and more success, we deserve this. There's nothing wrong with liking something kind of bad. I'm just confused as to why everyone is acting like this show is a masterpiece. So I had to put it out there and see if I'm the only person who feel like I'm going insane when I see people praise the depth of the writing of this series. Either way, I have watched this show 4 times over already, and I probably will watch it many more times.